When I was 12, my friends and I had a sleepover at my friend Jake's house. It was supposed to be a night of video games, snacks, and scary movies. But what happened that night has haunted me ever since. Jake's house was old, with creaky floorboards and dim lighting that always made me feel a bit uneasy. That night, a storm was brewing outside, with rain pelting the windows and thunder rumbling in the distance. We had just finished watching a horror movie when Jake suggested we try something scarier, a homemade Ouija board. "Come on, it's just a piece of paper and a glass," Jake said, pulling out a crudely drawn board and an upturned glass. "It's not like it's real." Reluctantly, I joined Jake, Mark, and Tony around the board. We dimmed the lights and lit a few candles to set the mood. As we placed our fingers on the glass, I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. "Is there anyone here with us?" Jake asked, his voice trembling slightly. At first, nothing happened. We sat in silence, the only sound the steady drumming of rain. Just as I was about to suggest we give up, the glass started to move. Slowly, it spelled out, Y-E-S. "Who's here with us?" Tony asked, his eyes wide with fear. The glass moved again, faster this time. D-A-N-I-E-L. "Do you want to hurt us?" Mark asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The glass shot to yes, and the candles flickered violently. We all jumped back, our hands off the glass. "Jake, this isn't funny," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "It's not me, I swear," Jake replied, his face pale. Suddenly, we heard a loud bang from the kitchen. We all froze, staring at each other with wide eyes. "Let's go check it out," Jake said, grabbing a flashlight. We crept down the hallway, the floorboards creaking under our weight. As we reached the kitchen, the flashlight flickered and went out, plunging us into darkness. A gust of wind blew through the room, and the door slammed shut behind us. "Did you guys feel that?" Mark whispered. "It's freezing in here." We huddled together, trying to find the source of the cold. That's when we saw it, a shadowy figure standing in the corner of the room. It was tall and thin, with glowing red eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness. "Who are you?" I managed to choke out. The figure didn't respond. Instead, it began to move toward us, its movements slow and deliberate. We backed up, pressing ourselves against the wall, but there was nowhere to go. Suddenly, the figure lunged at us, and we screamed, scattering in all directions. I ran upstairs, my heart pounding, and locked myself in the bathroom. I could hear my friends' panicked voices and the sound of heavy footsteps coming up the stairs. "Guys, get in here," I whispered urgently, opening the door just enough to let them in. We huddled together in the small bathroom, our breaths coming in ragged gasps. The footsteps stopped outside the door, and we held our breath, praying it wouldn't find us. After what felt like an eternity, the footsteps retreated, and we dared to breathe again. "We have to get out of here," Tony said, his voice shaking. "Now!" We carefully opened the door and tiptoed down the stairs. The house was eerily silent, and I felt a chill run down my spine. As we reached the front door, we heard a whispering voice behind us. "Don't leave." We spun around, but there was no one there. The shadowy figure was gone, and the house was back to its normal, albeit creepy self. We didn't waste any time. We ran out the door and didn't stop until we reached the end of the street. Breathless and terrified, we vowed never to speak of that night again. To this day, none of us can explain what happened that night. Jake's house was sold shortly after, and I've never been back. But every time I hear the creak of a floorboard or the sound of whispering, I can't help but remember that night and the shadowy figure that still haunts my dreams. If you liked the video, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.